some dare call it conspiracy, with Brent Lee and Neil Sanders. This is Pizzagate, Episode 3, with our guest, Joel Hill, from the Conditional Release Program podcast.
It was a busy day, November the 4th. November the 4th was the day that Reddit and 4chan, after going through all the emails and deciding that there was something suspicious to be found, had renamed the entire thing Pizzagate. Now, up until that point, if you'd have Googled Pizzagate, Pizzagate actually referred to Donald Trump eating a pizza backwards, which I think was from an advert, but also it's sort of believable because the man is a massive prat.
Do you mean like eating the crust first?
Yeah.
I think it was Pizza Hut stuffed crust in an advertisement that he did. But I mean, when it comes down to it, New Yorkers are weird about pizza. Jon Stewart got really weird about it in a lot of episodes of The Daily Show. You eat pizza with a knife and fork? Fuck you! You're not a New Yorker?
Yeah, it's a big thing, isn't it? That they're very keen on eating it in the correct way. I suppose not. It's not dissimilar. We have our own things. It's like cutting the wrong end of the cheese or whatever.
Yeah,
It's for New Yorkers. But I don't think anyone's ever been stabbed for cutting the wrong end of the cheese.
You say that, but
yeah.
I mean,
well, actually, yeah. Anywho. This is where we start to get the emails. Now, again, this is all November the 4th, essentially. What was interesting, again, is that these emails, you've got to remember, they were around since March 2016, but they're actually sort of, coalesced and put into a big file by WikiLeaks, October the 7th, 2016. Now, does anybody know what is significant about the date October the 7th, 2016?
No.
It's the day that the Access Hollywood Grab 'em by the Pussy tape was
released. Interesting.
Now, some might say that this was a coincidence, but WikiLeaks published the entire Podesta emails file 30 minutes after the Access Hollywood tape was released.
Really?
Interesting, isn't it?
Way to bury the lead.
Some might say that, yeah. Some might sort of notice that actually WikiLeaks does seem to be doing quite a lot of heavy lifting for the Trump campaign for whatever reason.
No, he's just a journalist. No, he's very impartial. That being said,
absolutely.
Is it that, or is it just anti-Hillary sentiment?
It depends what you believe, doesn't it? Because the argument is made that Edward Snowden and Julian Assange, there's no denying some of the things that they've actually exposed. Some people latterly have expressed the opinion that, have you noticed how well they do in Russia, and also how all of this information, regardless of whether it's true or not, benefits Russia in as much as the destabilization and distrust of figures within the establishment in America. There is an argument that makes that latterly people are looking at Snowden and Assange potentially as assets of Russia. So whether this is true,
sounds like conspiracy now, doesn't it?
Some might call it that.
Ooh,
yeah, some might.
If they dare.
Doesn't mean it's not true, though. Doesn't mean it's not
precisely.
True. Yeah.
Anyway, so on November the 4th, a Reddit user called You Dumb Scribbly Unctious posted the thread Comet Ping Pong Pizzagate Summary. And the first place that this appeared was on R the Donald, which is a subreddit that's dedicated to all things pro-Donald Trump. The first thing that they did was they focused on an email from Tamara Luzarzo, who was Hillary's chief of staff from 2001 to 2009. And she sent an email to John Podesta. And it says,
with enormous gratitude to Advanced Man Extraordinaire Haver, I am popping up again to share our excitement about the reprise of our gang's visit to the farm in Lovettsville, and I thought I'd share a couple more notes. We plan to heat the pool, so a swim is a possibility. Bonnie will be Uber service to transport Ruby, Emerson, and Maeve Lozzato, 11, 9, and almost 7. So you'll have some further entertainment, and they will be in that pool for sure. And with the forecast showing prospects of some sun and a cooler temp of lower 60s, I suggest you bring sweaters of whatever attire will enable us to use our outdoor table with a pergola overhead, so we dine al fresco, and ideally not al chillo.
So, this is suspicious. what the theory suggests is like, well, why are children of 11, 9 and 7 being Ubered to this property where John Podesta is going to be? A lot of people have basically said that this has been misinterpreted as this is sometimes called the hot tub email. And some people have suggested that they mention a hot tub. They don't. They mention heating a pool. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
But still, the inference is there. And at the time, people felt that there was no adequate explanation for this. And it looked very, very suspicious.
It's one of the more suspicious emails, I'd say.
It's certainly worth a look at, isn't it?
It's open for interpretation.
Yeah, quite. There was another email from Susan Sandler of the Sandler Foundation, which is a rights organisation that's connected to John Podesta.
Hi, John. The realtor found a handkerchief, and I thought it has a map that seems pizza-related. Is it yours? I can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond if it's not yours or you don't want it.
And he responded,
It's mine, but it's not worth worrying about.
So, this ties into two things. One, this is suggested code. And two, some people had noticed that he mentions a handkerchief here. Now, what other people had noticed, have you ever seen the film Cruising, for example, with Al Pacino?
No.
It's a cracking film. I would suggest you watch it. But basically, there's a system in certain gay clubs, I don't know whether this still exists, where you can highlight your preferences with a certain coloured handkerchief. Like, for example, there's a famous scene in the film where he walks into the club with a yellow bandana in his back pocket, and somebody comes up to him and goes, "Oh, amazing, yeah, I'll piss on you." And he says, "Oh, I'm not into that." And he says, "Well, why have you got the handkerchief?" And it's because he's misunderstood it. But certain coloured handkerchiefs refer to certain sexual practices, and it just indicates what you're into. And people have tied this back to his handkerchief and suggested that there might be something in it. The next email that people highlighted was from Herbert Sandler, and it says,
Susie whipped Sherry and me at dominoes using the Podesta method. She made up the rules as we played.
And then there's another follow-up email that says,
What is it about you that makes you such a big hit with Susan, Stephen, and Sherry? And now you've added the Podestas? Every time I see you, I get lowered in the rankings. Okay, we did have a great time. Incidentally, we really liked your daughter. She has a special quality.
So, again, if we're thinking about this as code for child sex trafficking, there's a lot of mention of children and a lot of sort of oblique, vague language that might be hiding something a lot more sinister. Then there's a couple of strange ones. So, for example, John Podesta emails Tony Podesta in January 2014.
Are you free for dinner on the 12th or the 13th?
And Tony replies,
Mary's not free, but I would love to get pizza for an hour, or come over.
And a lot of people have pointed out that, what do you mean get pizza for an hour? That seems like a very strange phraseology. Pizza, obviously, it refers to something far more sinister. I think we'd said that it refers to little girls. So what this email is potentially suggesting is that they spend an hour with little girls rather than actually going to get some food. A further email from Herbert Sandler says,
Mary and John, I think you should give notice when changing strategies which have been long in place. I immediately realized something was different by the shape of the box, and I contemplated who would be sending me something in this square-shaped box. Lo and behold, instead of pasta and wonderful sauces, it was a lovely, tempting assortment of cheeses. Yummy! I am awaiting the return of my children and grandchildren from their holiday travels so that we can demolish them. Thank you so much. I hope you and your gang are well. I miss you both. Best wishes for a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Herb. P.S. Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese than on pasta?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Again, like what they're suggesting is that basically, like it's either, well, that would be a little girl or a girl according to the code. But what they're suggesting is maybe that this can't just. What does that mean? What does any of this mean? Is the problem?
There's ambiguity.
Absolutely, and the earlier stuff about instead of pastas and wonderful sauces, which if you go back to the thing, would be what does that actually mean? Little boys and orgies. instead of that, they've got an assortment of cheeses, which means little girls have been sent to them by mistake or as a sort of, palate cleanser, so to speak. But there's two things in this email people are suspicious of. One, the use of the phrase yummy, which apparently has been used by paedophiles to say that person is attractive.
And there's the Justin Bieber video, isn't there?
Yeah,
precisely.
Yummy,
Justin Bieber, like lots of pictures of babies, and he's going yummy, which is if you
it was weird.
It is weird, isn't it? Particularly if we're looking at it from this angle. But here's the main bit from the thing. I'm awaiting the return of my children and grandchildren from their holiday travels so that we can demolish them.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound good, does it? Like, taken entirely on its own like that without the context of the previous sentence. Like, are they suggesting, is this a Jamie Redknapp, did you smash it kind of sort of explanation? Is that what they mean by demolish? Again, it's strange. Then we get an email from James Alefantis. Now, James Alefantis is the person that owns this restaurant. Now, Comic Ping Pong is a restaurant, sells pizza and has ping pong tables in the back in Washington, D.C. Tony Podesta, the brother of John Podesta, goes there every year for his birthday, apparently. And there's been several fundraisers there for Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton has not been pictured there or anything, but she did send a letter to James Alefantis thanking him for helping out with the campaign. Also, at one point, James Alefantis was the boyfriend of David Brock. David Brock is a prominent donor to the Democratic Party, and he also runs Media Matters, which is an organisation that is very, very critical of right-wing bias in the news media. And he says to John Podesta,
"Hello! Some young lawyer-type friends of mine are hosting an Obama fundraiser at Comet Ping Pong on Thursday night, and then watching the debate. Should be about 150 people. They are raising between $25,000 and $35,000. Would you be willing to stop by around 8 or so and make a little speech? They and I would be thrilled to have you, of course. I understand if you're not available. Also, I saw you reading at Politics and Prose soon. What can we do afterwards? Would you like to have dinner at my place? Big or small? What do you think?"
And so people have taken that to be very, very suspicious. There was also an email, and all it says is,
"Nice. As John said, it doesn't get any better than this."
And it's sent to loads of different people, and it's got the heading Pizza JPEG. Now, if you open up this JPEG, it's a picture of two Asian women and a child, a very young child, eating pizza. And the inference is nice. It doesn't get any better than this. Like the children and the Asian women, that is in some way sexual. Now, Huma Abedin and John Podesta are both recipients of this picture. So they obviously agree that this is nice and it doesn't get any better than this.
Okay.
Fucking weird picture. That's a weird picture.
It certainly is a weird picture when they explain it in this context again. It's starting to paint a picture of something rather unusual going off, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's an email from 2009, and this is what's called the famous Obama hot dogs email. It says,
"I think Obama spent about $65,000 of the taxpayers' money flying in pizza and dogs from Chicago for a private party at the White House not long ago. Assume we are using the same channels?"
Again, if we go back to that code and the idea that hot dogs mean little boys, essentially, then, they're talking about, are we using the similar channels to get 65 grand's worth of child prostitutes into the White House?
How much money is 65 grand worth of hot dogs? It's insane. You can't eat that many hot dogs. I mean, I'm a hungry guy, and that's a lot of hot dogs.
It certainly does sound like an awful lot, particularly for something as basic as a hot dog. I mean, what? You're talking, $10 maybe each and stuff like that. So
you can see. Yeah.
But this again, it was for a fundraiser potentially, but again, we don't know, and it does seem like a huge amount of money.
You can see why there's red flags being raised by some of these guys.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. From Jennifer Palmer on March the 1st, 2015, to John Podesta.
"So that's our ice-encased wiper and a taste of the traffic we're in. Suffice to say, we will not make it tonight. I am sad to say. We'll have to settle for the pasta John gave us at Christmas. Really sorry to miss."
And this is in March. So what a lot of people have pointed out is two things. One, pasta evidently refers to children of some description. And how would you have pasta in March that was from Christmas? Wouldn't that have gone off? So this is obviously clearly not talking about pasta. It's clearly talking about something else, because logic dictates that there's no physical way you could have pasta from Christmas in March.
I've got a theory, but I'm not going to let it go. I think we should carry on with this, but I've got a theory.
Yeah, okay. Jim Steyer, who's the CEO of Common Sense Media, on the 4th of April 2015.
Hey, John. We know you're a true master of cuisine, and we have appreciated that for years. But walnut sauce for the pasta? Mary, please tell us the straight story. Was the sauce actually very tasty?
And again, if we go back, walnuts apparently is people of colour. So they're suggesting there that these are little girls of colour, and this is potentially outside of their normal choice. But they're asking advice as to whether this is, the way to go.
And sauce is orgy. Is that right?
Yeah, sauce orgy, yeah.
Okay.
There's only thing it's worth about than pedophiles are racist pedophiles. Okay,
Absolutely.
Child sex is bad, but racist child sex, I mean, this is too much for me to handle. I like the idea that my child sex offenders are at least progressive.
Absolutely.
It makes me feel a lot better about the situation,
That's what they're saying, aren't they? It's all lefties that are the progressives are the groomers.
Look, I'm starting to think that maybe the white supremacists have infiltrated this pedo ring, and that, to me, is incredibly concerning. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
John Podesta and the 14 fish picture. Now, this is something that people made a huge amount. There's a picture of John Podesta with his palms up facing the camera, and he's got a 14 written on his right hand, and there's a fish symbol on his left hand. Some people have pointed out the idea of cutting your finger and letting it bleed, which is the connection to the spirit cooking. And one of his fingers does look a little bit bent and weird, but people's fingers tend to look a bit weird and bent. But there's lots of various potential explanations. One is that the 14 is representative of Osiris, the Egyptian god who was cut into 14 pieces, and then his penis was eaten by a fish. So This is potentially ties in with that myth. The 14th Hebrew letter is apparently pronounced Nun, which is also represented by the symbology of a fish. There's some that have pointed out that 14 might be AH, which stands for Adolf Hitler, or representation of David Lane's The 14 Words. We must, it's something like keep the white race pure for our children or some shit or other.
It's incredibly unpleasant.
Yes. There's a tram stop actually near where I live that's called David Lane Tram Stop. It's absolutely nothing to do with the white supremacists, and it's in an area that is majority sort of made up of Asian and black people that live there. So it is slightly ironic.
Some may dare say otherwise. No coincidences. What can I say?
Absolutely. Right, there's another email and this is one that's particularly strange, and it's to Mary Podesta from a bloke called John Demos.
Dear Mary, hope you and the family are well. Since John is no longer with this email address I have for him, will you please forward this to Lima, favor in brackets, to John?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Thelema is obviously the Aleister Crowley religion. So that is particularly strange. Those are what are called the emails, and this is what 4chan had discovered. But there's more. There is more. Now, there is something called the FBI sex symbols. Now, I'm not talking about Comey and other hot guys that work for them. we're talking about
David Duchovny.
Oh, stop! What a Baldwin.
And Gillian too. Let's face it.
Oh yeah, totally.
What a Baldwin. I'm going to use that.
Anyway. So there's this document that was released, and it came out with WikiLeaks at the same time, and it's a 2-page document, and it shows certain symbols. And this is where the concept came from for the handkerchiefs as well, because it does actually include a reference to the fact that people have different bandanas in homosexual clubs, like Black would be to indicate that you're into S&M. Brown is apparently to indicate that you're into scat, and yellow is that you're into water sports. And people thought that this was, again, significant because of the mention of handkerchief in the Podesta email. But WikiLeaks actually found this document. It's from 2007, and it's detailing a series of symbols that were used to dictate sexual preference. Now, the most famous of these is a symbol that's called boy lover, and it's a spiral pyramid where the inner spiral is a B, and then the outer spiral is a backwards L that is embracing the B to indicate that it's boy lover. And there's other ones as well. There's the boy lover, which is a spiral-shaped triangle. There's girl lover, which is a small heart surrounded by a larger heart. And then there's the sort of more sort of generalized child lover, which is is kind of like a stylized butterfly. Now, these were actually found on a website called .com and .net, and the A was in the boy lover symbol on all the graphics on this particular website. And these are sites that actually, they're about child pornography, how to groom children, and that sort of thing. Very, very grim.
Actual real life sex offenders.
Yeah, well, these are websites that basically have been found by the FBI that have got these symbols on them, and these symbols are basically as part of a code type thing. They're being promoted by these websites as ways of identifying yourself as somebody that is attracted to children. And what people felt was that there's a logo for Comic Ping Pong on the menu that has two ping pong bats, handle to handle. And people pointed out that this looks a lot like a butterfly, and the butterfly is this symbol of child lover, apparently. They also noticed that there's a pizza shop called Besta Pizza that's 2 doors down from Comet, and that has the triangle logo similar to the boy lover one as part of its actual logo. And it does. People pointed out that the owner of Besta is named Andrew Klein, and there was a member of the human trafficking unit that was under Obama named Andrew Klein, and people seem to think that it's the same person that's running this pizza place. The next point of concern was that people noted that Comet Ping Pong does gigs, and all these gigs are advertised as all ages shows. Now, people became very, very suspicious of that because there's usually like punk bands and stuff playing. So why would they be described as all ages shows? Why would they want children to be there? Is this not actually more indicative of something a bit more sinister? And there's a film, actually, of a band called Heavy Breathing. And the singer, Majestic Ape, was filmed joking about Jared Fogle. Jared Fogle was the big fat guy that lost all his weight eating Subway sandwiches, and then later was found out I think he downloaded child porn. He was a child sex offender.
Oh, no, he had a lot going on in all sorts of real-life ways, too. He was very naughty.
Did he?
Oh, yeah. Jared Fogle's a very naughty boy.
I'd heard this, but I'm not massively au fait with it.
I believe this happened during promotional spots for Subway.
Really? Oh, dear.
Yeah, I could double check that later, but we did a thing on Jared Fogle a while ago. There's more, but I'll let you go.
No, that's excellent. Essentially, they're joking about Jared Fogle, and one of them saying that I used to be his manager, and he likes the something sounds. And then someone from the audience shouts, "And little kids, little boys," to which the Majestic Ape turns around and jokingly says, "We all have preferences," and then does a sort of demonic laugh. And the crowd love this. They lap it up and go, "Ha, ha, ha, hilarious." People also noted that there's a mural in Comet Ping Pong that has a figure that has no head. They appear to have taken their head off and be sort of giving it to a smaller figure, which is inferred to be a child. And a lot of people actually thought that this was done by a woman called Kim Noble. Kim Noble does artwork that pertains to, she's got 100 personalities apparently, and got dissociative identity disorder through being sexually abused herself. And often her art depicts this. So, yeah, people are like, well, why would Kim Noble be associated with that. There was also a band called Sex Stains that also played at Comet, and their poster had artwork that, again, was very, very similar to Kim Noble's artwork. And so this is all, again, painting the picture that there's something a lot more suspicious going on there. But it wasn't just that. We also had James Alefantis' Instagram.
And that is a wrap for now. Join us next week as we continue down the Pizzagate rabbit hole. You can gain access to this entire series on day one of release by joining our Patreon for only $5 a month. Included in this package are 4 of Neil's books, my entire discography, early access to episodes, Patreon-only episodes, and a PDF of Headache Comics 4, courtesy of Nicholas C. Gray. You can also support us by subscribing, sharing, liking, or leaving a review wherever you are listening to us. And please follow us on Twitter @SomeDarePodcast. Thank you for listening.